We're going to draw the production possibility frontier for Susan. And she had the ability to gather 4 pounds of coffee in an hour, or if she spent an hour on nuts, she would gather 2 pounds of nuts. So her production frontier is going to be between coffee and nuts. If she spent all her time on coffee, she would have 24 pounds of coffee. 6 hours times 4 pounds. And as she shifts over to gathering nuts, she's going to give up coffee and gain nuts. So for the first hour that she moves over, she would lose 4 pounds of coffee, minus 4, and she would gain 2 pounds of nuts, like that. And the same would be true for every hour that she moved over. It would be minus 4 plus 2. 4, 6. Like that. So these are some of the points that we put in our table, and basically everything in between. I mean, she could just spend half an hour. I mean, she's a continuous line here of all these combinations of coffee and nuts are what's available to her. So from this production possibility frontier, we see that there is a limit to production. She can't have 12 pounds of coffee and 12 pounds of nuts. And that connects to the idea from the previous unit about scarcity and the limitations on what we can do at any given time. So we can divide this graph into different ranges. So everything on the line, and inside the line, all of these combinations are attainable. Okay, these are all combinations of coffee and nuts that she could have. And then outside the line, kind of, these are unattainable. With the current resources and the current technology. So the production possibility frontier, I think that's why frontier is a really good word. It is the boundary, the borderline between what's attainable and what's unattainable. Now the next distinction is between all these attainable points, the ones on the line and inside the line. There's difference there. Points on the line are efficient. And inside the line, it's inefficient. And what do we mean by that? Well, if we're inside the line, let's say we are at this point, 12 and 2, that's attainable. That's definitely something that she could have. But it's inefficient because she could have more. She can have more coffee. She can move straight in a vertical line up to the border and get more coffee with the same amount of nuts. Or she could have more nuts and the same amount of coffee. or she could move kind of in a diagonal way towards the border and get both. So inefficient means you can have more of things without giving anything up. And when we're at the border, that's not true anymore. The only way to get more, let's say we're here at this point and we want more nuts. We can't go out just horizontally and get more nuts and keep the same amount of coffee. The only way to get more nuts is to decrease the coffee, to shift some of the time from coffee to nuts. So we can have more nuts, but we are going to lose on the coffee. Or if we're here and we wanted more coffee, right, we can't just increase our coffee while maintaining the nut output. We can get coffee, but we have to sacrifice some nuts. So it's efficient because the only way to get more of one thing is to give up some of the other thing. So that's how what the frontier looks like. These are the different regions. A common question is, well, what point should she choose? You know, that's something that economists tend to not talk about too much. We want people to be on the line. We want an efficient combination. But as to which combination, that comes down to preferences, and that's her choice. Any point on the line is just as good as any other point on the line if that's what she wants. So if you have any questions, please ask them in the discussion board.